Welcome to Caffeine Views. On today's episode, we're going to Lab Coffee to try out their caramel mocha and see if it holds up to the whole caramel coffee type and if it would beat out the caramel macchiato from Starbucks. Let's go. We got our coffee. Let's review. Today we went to Lab Roasters Coffee to try out the caramel mocha. The exterior has about 3 different tables that you could sit at. The inside is like a raw coffee shop. It just gives me a lot of different raw vibes, like there's coffee in bags everywhere. Just gives it that real authentic coffee shop vibes as opposed to a traditional like Starbucks or Dunkin where everything looks the same. They have a pretty simple menu. There's not a whole lot to choose from. They don't have any different kind of names or unique names. They're mostly just like a cappuccino, frappuccino, mocha, caramel mocha, drinks like that. Let's start off with Acidity. I'm not getting really any strong fruity notes from this coffee. The caramel kind of takes over the coffee in a big way. The caramel just overpowers the coffee, but in a good way. It's not really giving me like a huge burst of different experiences or flavors. It's just a simple mocha, caramel mocha coffee. Coffee's kind of like right in the middle of a sharp and a mellow reaction. It's sharp enough where you can get the caramel, but it's also mellow where it's kind of toned down and go down your throat in a good way. I would put this coffee more lively than dull just because of the flavor. For Acidity, I'm giving this coffee a 3 out of 5. Next up is Aroma. I'm not getting a huge whiff of any specific flavors or scents. The aroma is not really prominent. You would think that a coffee that has caramel in it, you would be able to smell the sugars, but for this coffee, you can't really get that unless you're really diving deep down inside of the coffee with your nose just practically touching it. You can't really taste the caramel just by smelling it. The smell of the caramel is toned down so much that it smells like nothing. Just based off the slight smell, I can only get the caramel from this coffee. I can't get anything else. I can't even get the almond milk that I got. So anything that I'm smelling is just straight caramel, nothing else. Unfortunately, I'm gonna put Aroma at a 2 out of 5 just because I can't really smell much, but I can still smell the caramel. We're gonna be talking about flavor next. This coffee doesn't really have many flavors in it besides the caramel, the almond milk, and then the coffee beans that went into it. Because it doesn't have a huge flavor or a huge aroma, I would say that the flavors are pretty balanced. Nothing sticks out besides the caramel, and then even so, the caramel doesn't stick out in a huge way. You can't really compare this to a Starbucks drink. The Starbucks caramel, it's really sweet and you can feel it on your teeth. This is pretty sweet, but you can't really taste it all too much in your mouth. The flavor does not get enhanced by the aroma, not adding to the taste. When I'm drinking the coffee, I can't really smell it, so it's only a one-sided experience as opposed to other coffees where the coffee smell is pretty prominent and it really adds to the coffee before you even drink it, but it's not the case for this. It's pretty forgettable. If you're gonna go for a caramel macchiato or any caramel drink, I would say go to Starbucks, because even then you could just get more ice and water down the coffee so it's not as sweet. This is just a pretty simple, basic caramel coffee, and the price doesn't justify everything about the coffee. Coffee ended up being $7, which is $2 more than a Starbucks drink, and even a Starbucks venti, you can get almost twice the amount of coffee. Bang for your buck is Starbucks. For flavor, there's only the real caramel and the almond milk, so I'm gonna give this coffee about a 2 out of 5. But we're gonna be talking about the body next. Coffee's consistency has more of a water feel to it than a soda or a milkshake. It's pretty watery when it's inside your mouth. It doesn't really coat your mouth. It doesn't stay on your taste buds or your tongue for a prolonged length of time. So the coffee's pretty light. I wouldn't put it thick. It doesn't weigh down your tongue in any way. Unless you're drinking a huge amount, you're not gonna really feel it on your tongue. For body, again, I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 5. We're gonna be talking about sweetness. It's not as sweet as a Starbucks macchiato. I would put that at a 5 out of 5. This is pretty sweet. It's not over the top. Like I mentioned, it's not gonna affect your teeth or how strong it is in terms of being super sweet or not. A lot of sweet coffees, you can get the sugar, you get the honey and the caramel that's real prominent. For sweetness, I'm gonna give this coffee a 4 out of 5. For aftertaste, this coffee, it doesn't leave your mouth in a huge wet feeling. Coffees that linger give that effect. Once you're drinking it, it kind of dries up. It doesn't leave your mouth dry like a super sour coffee would. Obviously the caramel and the almond milk add to, you know, the drier wetness of your mouth. So I would put this at probably like right around the middle point. The aftertaste just pretty much just goes away right away. It wouldn't leave a proper trail anyway. Really sweet and smooth, but it doesn't leave you wanting more. Once this coffee's gone, you're just gonna be going about your day, forgetting about, you know, what kind of coffee that you had. It wouldn't really leave you in a good feeling of wanting to go back and get another, you know, another one of these. If you're really tired and one coffee wasn't enough and you need 2 cups, you wouldn't go back and get the same caramel mocha. You'd probably get maybe something stronger or something that's, you know, pumped more full of flavors. Aftertaste, because it's caramel and I like caramel, I'm gonna give it a 2.5 out of 5. Versatility, is this coffee versatile? I would say yes, just because it's not fully pumped of flavors and it's not really complex. So, you know, in the morning, if you need a caramel macchiato type of drink, you could get this, and then in the afternoon, you know, same thing. And you could drink this in the evening, morning, afternoon, or night. It's pretty versatile. You could drink it any time of the week, any time of the day. You probably get this coffee if you're in a rush. For versatility, I'm gonna give this a 4 out of 5, just because caramel macchiatos and caramel drinks are pretty versatile. This coffee is not complex at all. It's pretty simple. The caramel, the almond milk, and the coffee, just 3 of those ingredients that go into the coffee. Pretty simple, pretty basic, nothing too major about them. Although the look of the coffee, it did make it look like it was somewhat complex. There was, you know, changes in the coffee and in the caramel where you had to mix it around to get just the one flavor, and then plus the ice at the top that was melting also added another form to the coffee. Coffee's pretty balanced, the beginning, middle, and end. There's no real changes. You get the same type of experience all throughout the process. Nothing stands out. Like a certain coffee flavor might stand out more in the aftertaste. You're just gonna get caramel straight through. For complexity, I'm gonna give this coffee a 2 out of 5. For balance kind of goes hand in hand with complexity. This coffee's pretty balanced. Nothing stands out. Everything's smooth. There's no rough points at all throughout the process. It's consistent and it doesn't alternate between sweet and sour like a lot of coffees might, where you might get the sourness from the coffee, but then like the sweetness from the additives. Balance, I'm gonna give this 3.5 out of 5. Lastly, forgiveness. I'm not gonna forgive this coffee with the other points that I took off in the other categories. It's a simple caramel coffee. It doesn't deserve to be, you know, anything more than that. For forgiveness, I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 5. All in all, the caramel mocha from Lab Coffee gets a 27 out of 50 or a 54 out of 100. It's a pretty low score just because it's a caramel mocha and there's nothing really complex about it. For how it's a caramel mocha, it does an excellent job. Everything about this coffee is excellent if you're just looking at it from a caramel mocha perspective. I'm looking at it in terms of a coffee experience. So I'm trying to get different aromas, the fruity, nutty, flowery, you know, everything that you can get in a coffee. I'm using that to reference. Don't let the score affect your opinion about this coffee. 54 out of 100 in terms of all coffees is really good. Thank you so much for watching Cafe and Views, where we went to Lab Coffee and tried out their caramel mocha. Tune in next week to see where we're going next.